just relax the mind's chatter for a minute. Just keep relaxing. Every time a thought comes up, you simply look away. You relax. You don't enter that thought. You let them be. You relax your focus. And as you relax your focus, you will notice that there is a natural here and now awareness, a sense of presence, a sense of being here, being present right now. It's more vivid, it's more awake than those times when you're completely indulging your thoughts. When there's a moment of awareness, recognizing this moment, this here and now awareness, there's a clarity there that's not noticed, usually speaking, not noticed when you're just thinking about things. So we relax these thoughts for a few seconds, again and again. And we come into the recognition of what's here now. If you will, the space that remains, the space in which you are present. Simply notice that space itself. It is that basic presence which is always here, no matter what appears within it. Everything that appears needs a space of awareness to appear in. That which recognizes all of your experiences again and again and again usually goes unnoticed in our society. There's no emphasis placed upon that fundamental essence through which alone every other experience can even be known to exist. Without that natural awareness, there cannot be recognition of any other experience whatsoever. In a sense, you could say that what's most fundamental to everybody's life, no matter what the differences are, there's many differences on the surface, there's many differences in the mind, but that basic space of awareness which recognizes all of these thoughts equally is always and in everyone that same basic space. It simply registers, it simply notices this now, and this now, and this now. No matter what appears within it, no matter what the colors of your mind are, no matter what the words of your vocabulary are, no matter what your preferences are, the space is there for these preferences to be recognized by and within. It is like the space of this room. We usually pay way more attention to the chairs and to the people and to the objects and the lamps and the radiators within it. But we hardly ever really stop to recognize that beneficial space itself, without which none of the chairs could be here, without which none of these people could sit here, without which none of these lights could shine. It is so empty of having a particular form or shape that we don't even notice its existence. Awareness is very much like that. It goes unnoticed because it is that which notices everything else. But we can also stop to notice the noticer, the noticing, the seeing. Now if you open your eyes for a second, you can recognize that you are seeing. Experientially speaking, you are seeing. You can acknowledge that for a moment. I am seeing. I am witnessing. Now if you close your eyes for a few seconds, you'll notice that that witnessing quality, that presence of awareness does not go away. Even though the visual stimuli disappears, makes room for the blackness of your eyelids, the absence of light. Nevertheless, the seeing is still happening. That awareness is still aware of not seeing. You are still aware of not seeing. Now if you open your eyes again, you'll be aware of seeing. So that awareness never left. Awareness, or that seeing, the witnessing, never leaves. It is effortlessly here. You could say as the space within which all of your life unfolds, moment by moment by moment by moment. This is the only thing that never changes. It's not a thing, but it's that which notices all changes, all things. That empty consciousness itself, that formless awareness itself, that's always right here, right now, never in the future and never in the past. It is always only right here, right now. That is your very own presence. That is your very own existence. The benefits of recognizing this, of stopping the mental chatter for a few seconds again and again throughout the day and recognizing this basic space of present awareness again and again. The benefits of this are many. For one, is that you start to know a part of yourself that never leaves you. So no matter what goes on, no matter what leaves in your life, no matter what leaves your field of perception, your experience of life, life itself, or the essence of being, that presence of awareness itself, the presence of your existence, that noticing, that being, never leaves. It is changeless. The more you check in with it, the more you'll see, the more it becomes obvious to your entire being that it is, in fact, changelessly here. And it will become clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer, and there's no end to how clear it can become. The presence of your own existence, of your own here and now awareness, can become so vivid that it absorbs attention away from everything else for moments, where all you notice is simply your own existence, which comes with a sense of ease, a sense of peace, a sense of bliss, empowerment, freedom, clarity, wisdom, intuition, intelligence. Again, the benefits are many, and they're all already available to you. All that's required is for us to stop whatever we're doing, psychologically speaking, whatever we're doing within our consciousness, just to stop and to notice consciousness itself. Awareness itself, the fact that it is present, just that acknowledgement alone, when done experientially, by actually stopping thinking for just a couple of seconds, doesn't have to be long, just that small window of not thinking about anything, and noticing what remains when you're not thinking about anything. That piece may seem subtle at first, but it becomes very, very reliable the more it is recognized, the more you play with it. The more it starts to play with you, the more it starts to recognize you in a sense, the more obvious it becomes. And so throughout your everyday life, you'll have a sense of stability that you didn't have before. A stability that's not relying on anything out there. It doesn't depend on any circumstances. It is always already here. To touch in with that, again and again, gives you that power, gives you that clarity, gives you that stability to more easily and more naturally and more gracefully handle, quote-unquote, handle. It's not really handling, but to allow to flow those circumstances that you thought were problematic. Problems suddenly make room for invitations. Invitations to relax into this natural sense of being, from which you'll have the intelligence, from which you'll have the space and the distance in a sense. Also the intimacy with the circumstance. There's also great intimacy in this space, but also the distance to be wiser, to be more intelligent about whatever is occurring in your life, to be more loving or more compassionate or more embracing of. Why? Because your sense of identity is no longer caught up in the little things. It rests back into, you could say, the background. It's not entirely accurate, but for illustration purposes. To relax from the appearances on the movie screen, and to notice the screen itself, and to see that it remains untouched by whatever appears on the screen. Awareness itself remains untouched, no matter what appears as an experience within your life. Allow this peace to take you over more and more. Allow this peace to empower you from within more and more. It will shift your sense of identity from the limited scope of being a body with a mind to a more substantial sense of being awareness, within which the mind and the body are experienced as parts of yourself, but not as the whole enchilada, you could say. There is more to you than meets the eye. So keep relaxing into this recognition again and again. That's the basic instruction. That's the basis of waking up. Waking up to what? Waking up to your own presence. So often we forget to recognize that we are present here. We're present to all of these things that we keep describing throughout our daily lives. We're present to all the stories that we're going through on a daily basis. We're present to all of the joys that we're expressing. We're present to all the dislikes that we have, all the judgments that we have. We are present to witness that in the first place. And simply to create that space for recognition to happen again and again and again and again. To be kind of relentless with yourself, at least initially. Because the mind is relentless in its thinking patterns. So to break up the habit of describing everything that happens, and just to take a moment of non-descriptiveness, a moment of openness, a moment of non-judgment, for a moment not knowing whatever is going on in your life. Not knowing anything for a moment. Because we think we know everything. But when we stop thinking we know everything, suddenly there is this peace, there's this spacious sense of being, which we didn't allow much room for by believing in all the ideas and thoughts we're believing in. So just to relax that tension of believing for a moment gives us the peace that we're actually looking for through our beliefs. Again, we usually think what happens when we stop for a moment. What will become of me if I keep stopping for a moment? Well, try it out. You'll still be able to do everything you used to do. You'll still be able to think. You'll still be able to judge. You'll still be able to believe. But your beliefs will gradually shift, naturally, to become more in alignment with that peace that you come to know in your heart, that all-embracing peace, which is still very effective at dealing with circumstances, which is still very effective or empowered to be in the world of things, people, ideas, beliefs, circumstances, improvements, etc. However, your fundamental sense of self, your sense of who I am, the sense I am, is no longer caught up in all those beliefs, even when it's temporarily entertaining these ideas to come to a certain result, a practical result, a practical choice or decision or action. Fundamentally speaking, your sense of I will no longer be caught up in those ideas. And therefore, if something attacks your ideas about yourself, you'll be able to be way more peaceful about yourself. You'll be able to be way more stable because you're no longer believing yourself to be caught up or to be defined by these ideas, these concepts. So this basic space, which is here now in this room, as your own awareness of this room, asks for your attention. It is infinitely patient. It will give you all the troubles you can handle. It will give you all the inconveniences you can ever think into existence. Sometimes not. Sometimes we're blessed. But even then, in some way, shape, or form, something always knocks you out of your trance. Now, this doesn't have to last very long. Traditionally speaking, this doesn't last very long. It's not even noticed as a moment of waking up. But when a situation happens, or when a situation seems to happen to you, when there is that moment of collapse or conflict or struggle, what it is actually trying to show you is to gain more awareness of that underlying sense of self. Not necessarily to go into more troubles, to go into more details. Those moments are moments of waking up to what is always already with you. Your here and now presence. That undeniable fact that you exist. That existence alone exists. There's nothing outside of existence. So to recognize your own existence is to actually get in tune with, is to energetically get in tune with all of life. All of life. That spacious embrace includes all of life, in all of its forms, in all of its ways, in all of its beings, in all of its expressions. And to know that I am life within yourself, to know that I am awake presence, is to be able to know that presence in any circumstance, in any relationship, with any other human being, in any other kind of circumstance. Whatever is happening to you in your life, or for you, or in front of you, if you will, whatever is appearing as your magic show, as your movie, as your story, that has only one essence, and that is the same essence for everyone else. That is awareness itself. Without awareness, nothing would be experienced. Every experience is a confirmation of this ever-present awareness, this ever-present existence, which can be felt experientially as the sense, I exist, without distraction for a moment, without going outside of yourself, thinking about circumstances. You'll notice this primordial sense of existing. And it's the simplest thing to do, because you cannot get rid of existing. It's always already with you. All you have to do is give some space, some amount of space throughout your day. It doesn't have to be much. It can be less than 1% of your waking day. But spend that less than 1% of your waking day actually creating a space for a few seconds or a few minutes where you simply play with the idea of going back and forth between the thoughts in your mind, which distract you or have an outgoing sort of energy to them, a sense of out there, like thinking about something, describing something out there. And stop that for a moment and recognize the space in between these thoughts. Recognize that in which they appear, that awareness in which these thoughts come and go. Just give some amount of space of your day, doesn't have to be much, repeatedly, consistently, to this playful recognition that you exist, whether you're thinking or not. Then get in tune with that existence which does not depend on thought. More and more, allow that to become more obvious within your awareness. Throughout your daily lives, it becomes more and more self-evident as this palpable sense of aware presence, which you cannot deny because it's here right now. In a sense, you could say it's looking out of your eyes as we speak. That sense of present awareness is hearing my voice as we speak. You don't need to think in order to hear my words. Effortlessly so. You don't even have to follow what I'm saying if you only recognize that you're hearing my words. The acknowledgement of perception itself is what we're talking about. Because again, that's more fundamental than whatever appears within that perception. And there's tremendous power in this repeated recognition, this repeated acknowledgement, this repeated stopping the conditioned mind for a moment by moment by moment by moment, and allowing for that space of being, that brilliant space of your own existence to shine forth more and to embrace more of your life. Acceptance starts to happen naturally. Acceptance, more and more acceptance. Again, doesn't mean change doesn't happen. Again, doesn't mean that you're not able to work with things, that you're not able to improve things. In fact, there will be greater, spacious, balanced intelligence with those decisions. However, your sense of self is rested deeper, beyond the changing realm of thoughts and emotions. Your sense of being opens up to a deeper, more permanent, more stable level. And you can always tune in with that, because it's always here. It's always already the case. We only have to recognize it again and again and again. That is all. That's all that's necessary to wake up these innate freedoms, these innate powers, these innate beauties that are within yourself already. All that's necessary to wake up that flower, all that you need to nourish that flower in order for it to bloom, is those moments of acknowledging the fact that you exist with or without thinking. That vivid, awake, alive presence. It's there every moment of your life. You cannot escape it. You can only miss it or not recognize it. Therefore, we continuously recognize it to bring forth its obviousness and its innate qualities of love, compassion, wisdom, understanding, freedom, empowerment, clarity, etc.